Well, Becky, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here.
It is my pleasure as always. Looks like you've had a pretty good season, starting with an elk hunt.
I did. I actually lucked out and got a alligator before that.
Oh, that's right. So is that a drawn hunt?
It was a draw hunt. Yeah.
That's right. So, I mean, if you guys have heard Becky on the show before, you know that they put in for a lot of the Texas draws, and they get drawn frequently. They were on, when was that, like 3 years ago when you shot the nil guy?
I think it was like 3 years ago. Yeah.
And out of everyone that was hunting, and that was on the Laguna Atascosa, I think, right?
Yeah.
And y'all were like one of two that got a nil guy.
I think there was three, me, Josh, and then one other guy. So yeah.
Out of like, I don't know how many hunters they had in that weekend, but a lot. So
yes.
and then last year you shot a nice public land whitetail. I think it was last year, but you hunted hard for that, or it might have been the year before.
It might have been the year before. Yeah, it was the year before.
So,
and
then this year you got drawn for an alligator hunt. And where was that? What WMA was that on?
Out by Port Arthur.
Okay. So now you'll never get drawn for these again because everyone's putting in for them that listen to this.
Yeah.
But you already got your nil guy and your alligator, so that's all right.
I'll get bashed for saying I got something there, but
right. But the thing is, those tags are very inexpensive to apply for.
Yes.
And you can still have a great hunt.
Yeah. Yes.
How was the alligator hunt facilitated by Texas Parks and Wildlife? Like, how did that play out?
It played out really good. So we went, basically got in line, went inside. They talked us through everything. We kind of had an idea when we were going in, but of how it was going to play out, but it obviously didn't play out quite that way. So we got to go out. They showed us our areas. We set up. We thought we were just going to literally put out our baits, find some areas, put out our baits. We kind of went along, scouted the area and stuff, figured out where we're going to set up our baits. And we ended up lucking out, and we sat out there, got up in the brush and sat. And I actually got to watch my alligator take the bait in front of us.
Oh, wow.
So we didn't pack very much water or anything like that. We just had stinky bait on the boat, and we ended up, and of course it's so hot, but we ended up sitting out there. So here we are thinking, okay, we're going to put everything out, then go back, wait till the night when they feed, everything else. And we ended up getting to watch it happen. So it was pretty cool.
Awesome. So I think I've killed a couple of alligators, all in that same fashion with a bait and hook. What did you dispatch it with?
It was a 20 gauge slug.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I used a 10 millimeter pistol on mine. So 20 gauge slug, and just shoot it right in the noggin.
Yeah. Luckily, Kyle and Josh were with me, so they did the hard work of pulling it up. But
right.
I had the easy job.
So what are you going to do with that?
I'm going to mount it one day.
Right.
Like, I ever get caught up. That's
body?
my plan. Yeah. I went ahead and did it for full body and sent it to the tannery. So I hadn't decided exactly, but that thing's going to take up a little bit of room. So it'll either be swimming up or swimming down. Try to do something a little more vertical to save room.
It crossed my mind to have you guys mount mine, but just from the space perspective. And also my better half, who you're friends with, was like, I don't mind the deer so much. I don't know if I want a big lizard in my house. But I did get a nice pair of boots made out of it.
Nice.
So I like it's a great conversation starter. It's like, hey, you like, or someone will be like, actually, they usually say, hey, nice boots. I'm like, well, let me tell you a story about these.
Yeah.
Actually killed this alligator.
Yes. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So you got the alligator, and then where did you go for the elk hunt?
We went to New Mexico. Goodness, it was the Mexico Colorado border
Mhm.
somewhere, and we're on the New Mexico side, and so we got to go up there. We actually had we had a mule deer tags as well, but I guess the cold front hit when we were there, so a lot of the locals were telling us they just hadn't really moved in yet. We started seeing them migrating in a little bit more, especially the does, but the big bucks we didn't really see too much. Well, actually, we didn't see any, but from what I heard, and they've shot before later season, they definitely were pulling some good ones, but lucked out and ended up getting the elk. We definitely saw a lot of elk. They weren't
This was in October, so was this post rut?
Late October. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And you were rifle hunting?
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
And what caliber were you using? I bet it was not a 6.5 Creedmoor.
No, it was a 300 Ultra Mag.
There you go. There you
go.
Yep. Yeah, we just like to make fun of the 6.5. I have one, but we like the jokes. So.
Yep.
But I do think you're undergun if you're shooting an elk with a 140 grain bullet. So
yeah. Yep. Exactly.
I wouldn't personally do it. Why? Because I have a 300 Win Mag in my safe, which or 7 mag or 270. Take any of those over it. So how far was the shot on that bull?
It was 100 right at 180 yards. And it was a really cool hunt. I mean, where I was set up on this little overlook where you could see this valley down below, and just sitting there watching. It was late morning. It was probably 10:30, and I was thinking, I'm probably not going to see much. I saw some cows and a smaller bull come through earlier, and they never crossed on the side. There was a fence off to the left, and so they never crossed the fence. They went up, and how they can just disappear, I still haven't figured that out.
Right.
Well, he comes from the right, and I'm guessing maybe another hunter pushed him or something, because he was traveling, and he came from the right, and I knew I wasn't going to have time to set up there, so I ran on the other side of this little cliff, and he had just hunched down, and that 300's a little heavy. Josh and I were joking about it. We're like, yeah, it's not not a freehand shooting gun. Yeah. So that was incentive to shoot it freehand. So and there wasn't much he was hunched down. He was fixing to jump that fence. He was running, he was fixing to jump that fence. So right when he stopped and hunched down, I was lucky to make that shot, and come to find out the property on the other side of the fence was ours too. I didn't know it at the time, but it worked out.
You weren't taking any chances, right?
No.
Right. So it dumped him right there? He
went maybe 50 yards at most. So
right. Perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Awesome. And was it a 6x6? What was it?
He was, yeah. I should go get him and bring him here. Hold on. I'm gonna get him.
Perfect.
So 5x5. He's not a monster by any means, but my first elk. So
heck yeah. He looks very similar to the 2 New Mexico 5x5s I've killed. They've got those nice chocolate horns, good mass.
Yeah, he's cool. And he was got him on our second last day of hunt. So that was awesome.
And so what did you buy the landowner tags, or how did your hunt play out?
Yeah, we bought tags. Okay. Josh had heard from someone, and so we ended up buying tags. A buddy of ours had heard, and he had told Josh, and so it just kind of went down the line, and figured
some of those places though are you can use those landowner tags to hunt public in New Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Ours was not like that though.
Yeah. Well, and they call them unit-wide tags, but you can buy them from the landowner, which a lot of New Mexico residents don't appreciate. And then,
yes,
I understand it, but it's good for us out-of-staters.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so congrats on the elk. That's awesome. And then Josh sent me a picture like a couple weeks ago. I think maybe when I was in Nebraska, you shot a nice whitetail.
I did.
I think he said like maybe everybody was sick or something. The kids were sick and you were the only one that went out. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. We left town. We snuck with Josh. He was guiding, and we wanted to go visit up there with the people that own the ranch. And so we snuck up there, and we go up there, and everyone got sick. I was the only one that I think didn't get sick.
Yeah.
So,
And you're the only one that got a
hunting.
deer.
Yeah. It was an
Right.
incentive to go hunting and get away from sick people.
Yeah.
So,
I'm out of here. When
Yep.
my wife gets sick, so she gets sick because the kids come downstairs, and if they don't feel good, they crawl in bed with her, and they're like
Yeah.
breathing on her and stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna go sleep on the couch
Yeah.
for like the next week because now you're gonna
Yep.
be sick too. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's up next on your list? Do you have any other hunts planned, or are you done for this fall?
I want to go duck hunting really, really bad. And I keep seeing all these ducks come in, and it's killing me, but I can't get away right now. So
Well, it's the busy time of year for you
fingers
guys.
crossed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but
Well,
yeah, I would love to go duck hunting, but
let's talk a little taxidermy.
okay.
And obviously the thing that most people are probably bringing in right now are whitetail. What are a few things that you see people do incorrectly? Like, don't do that, because it could affect the quality of your mount, or we might have to find you a new cape, or it could just be little things. But what advice would you give?
Where do I start? Cutting too far up the brisket. We'll get that where they'll cut up all the way up into the neck sometimes, or they'll follow that the hair. The good news is that a lot of times they'll keep it as a straight line, so we can sew it, and the hair does come together. It's just one more thing though, and so we'll get a lot of that. We will get where instead of cutting like behind the shoulder where the white and the brown hair are meeting, I'm not quite sure where this is coming from. Some people actually cut in front of the shoulder. And
wow.
So, or not cutting far enough back to give us enough for a shoulder. Luckily it's all little things like that, or every now and then we'll get the guy who gets the deer, he cuts it off right, but then he puts it in the ice chest of water and lets it roll around in the water while he's showing all his buddies. And or the guy or girl that'll leave it out, and then it comes in, it's got maggots on it and it's green, and they're like, we just want a flat hide. Right. I'm like, no, we can't do that.
Yeah. Well, you guys have done so many amazing mounts for me over the years, and the only time that I've ever brought one in and you're like, this, and you were there, Josh wasn't there. It was when I shot that Neil guy in South Texas, and I came straight to you, but I mean, it was May, it was hot as hell.
Yeah.
And it took us, those things are so tough. It took us 5 or 6 hours to find it. Like I shot him in the morning. We didn't find him until after lunch.
Yeah.
And I guess in that, by then you finally get him back to camp and skinned, and you're like, I know, I told you, I said, you smell this because it's not, and you're like, this is going to be an iffy one. And I guess the hide had slipped too much to save it for a shoulder mount.
Yeah.
So that does happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. Nope. It definitely does, especially when you're doing that, or you're elk hunting and you're not where you're near a vehicle, or it's a fast get in and out. A lot of those, they take time, and I completely and totally get that. So
yeah. So when you are skinning out, say something like an elk, and you're in you're in the backcountry, and you have to take the animal's face off of the skull. How would you describe that process? What do you need to do because removing the lips and the nose and everything?
So we've got animals in year round. I would say if you have a chance, come in and we'll do one with you, show you real quick. And if not, we can just kind of pull one of the animals out of the cooler and go over it. And we can show you really, really quick. It's fast when you've been doing it for a while, but just peeling it off, making sure you're not leaving a bunch of hair around the burrs, that you're leaving tuck-in material, with the eyes and the nose and the mouth. there's a lot of common sense, and it's very self-explanatory once you kind of just point it out a little bit. So if you get a chance to come in, or I can, talk you through it on the
I'm
phone.
sure there's something on YouTube you could watch too if you're,
I'm sure.
say somewhere where you have service. I mean, that's the thing about a lot of these backcountry hunts is you're not going to get access to YouTube. So you better have already watched that video.
Yeah, maybe that's something we should do, Cable. Maybe we should do a YouTube video on that.
Absolutely, you should. Yeah, 100%. What about ducks? I mean, those are pretty self-explanatory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shoot it and then do what with it?
So, all dogs are different. If you think it's one you're really going to mount, maybe try to beat the dog to it or get it from the dog pretty quick. Try to bring me in more than one. So if you get a good pintail, you say you've got 2 pintail, try to send another one in. A lot of times we can steal something from one to make a perfect shot. I mean, obviously we're shooting these and stuff. Get them in and get them cold. Best thing to do is if you have access, get them in the freezer right away. Put them in a Ziploc freezer bag and just squeeze as much air as possible and freeze them, but bring them in whole.
Right. So. I definitely, we went on this hunt out by Lake Fork one time, and this is years ago. And the guy was like, dude, it's going to be a spoony beatdown. And it was the last day of the season. I was like, great, because I want a fully plumed out spoony. Like, I think a Hollywood is a beautiful bird when they're plumed out, and they get a bad rap, but they're gorgeous. And so I brought you guys 3, and you just picked the best one.
Yep. And that is the best thing to do. Yeah. And of course, getting the beautiful plumed out ones, a lot of times, I mean, sometimes you'll get someone they'll bring it in and they're expecting this gorgeous bird, but we've got one that's just full of pin feathers and not quite there yet. So later season ducks are typically the best.
What about varmints? Do you want to gut those or bring them in whole?
Bring them to me whole. If you can freeze it, get it cold. But bring it to me whole and let me skin it out from there. If you gut it, you can gut it. I'm not saying there's different poses and stuff. Not all of them have this beautiful northern looking hair, West Texas hair. Sometimes we'll get these shorter hair cats, and when someone goes to gut it, sometimes they're not cutting it quite right. So they're cutting hair. So then I'm trimming around it, and all of a sudden we've lost a 1/2 inch in girth already. And if I cut it down the back to skin it out or anything like that, which makes it easier or something like that, then, I've got a little bit more. And with cats and stuff, you don't have the antlers to show the size. So I'm going to try to give you a cat that is just as big, that as big as possible. And you start bringing one that you've got cut all up. And next thing I know, I'm trimming. I don't have a straight line. Y'all have got lines going everywhere, and I'm trimming all this. And yeah, we're going to do so much better. Just bring it in whole and we'll take it from there.
So just put it in the freezer and then get it to you when it's convenient.
Yep.
And that's goes for like badgers and anything as smaller.
Basically
stuff.
any life size. Life size. Obviously with whitetail and stuff like that, you've got your meat that you're needing to worry about and stuff like that. If you can bring it in whole, that's great. If you can get to us right away, of course, if you're going to be a wild, gut it and we go from there. We can make a incision going from that cut. Just try to always make a straight line and help us out just a little bit.
Have you ever tried to eat bobcat?
I have not.
I don't recommend it.
No,
I don't.
So I'm going to be honest with you, Cable, after skinning these things, I don't think I could bring myself to eat one. Yeah.
Right.
The smell alone.
Yeah. No, we tried that. It was not a pleasant experience.
Oh, do they taste like they smell?
Because we didn't use any seasoning, because this was when I was a little younger and more full of piss and vinegar, and was like, we're not going to season it. We're going to just get the full flavor profile of this cat. Big mistake. Probably should have seasoned it. It wasn't good. No. Okay. And what else people bringing in right now? I don't know. Obviously anything that's little, like a quail or a rabbit, any of that stuff you want to bring in.
Yep.
Frozen.
All whole, and yeah. If you can get it in the freezer, that's always the best. But
what's your favorite
I
thing to
realize.
mount?
Do what?
What's your favorite thing to mount?
The cats.
Mm-hmm.
The cats.
And I have a beautiful lynx right here that I'm looking at. It's like it probably gets the most comments out of anything in the trophy room or studio. Yeah.
Awesome. That's such a pretty lynx. They're beautiful hair.
But that's an art that a lot of taxidermists can't or haven't mastered, because you look at the face, like the body is fine, it's positioned fine, but then you look at the eyes and the face and you're like, it just doesn't look like it should.
Yeah.
Which you've won awards for your felines.
I've gotten some ribbons, yeah.
I haven't found, as consistent as you are. I haven't found anybody, I think, that does a better job on the cats, especially.
Well, thank you, Kay. Well, that's very sweet. I don't know about that, but thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, like I said, everyone that walks in here, and it's super cool because it's chasing a pine marten.
Yeah.
Which I trapped. This was on a trap line trip to British Columbia. So yeah, it was, it turned out way better than I could have ever imagined. And
awesome. I'm so glad you're happy with it.
Thank you very much. Well, I hope that you get to have a chance to go duck hunting this fall.
Yes. Have you made it out?
Winter now. Only twice. Only twice. I've been more mad at the deer this year and just got a new dog, and so we're working through some, just nuances of a first season together.
Oh yeah, definitely. We've got our first lab, so
yeah, awesome.
He's an awesome dog, but sometimes I think he's too smart. So
right. So you guys have locations in Marion, which is just outside of New Braunfels.
Yeah, that's our main location. And we don't even advertise it. It's all pretty much word of mouth here. And then we've also got one in San Antone at 1604 and Nacogdoches.
Okay. And realistically, and here's, and I always say this, people have heard y'all's commercial on the show for a decade, probably longer, Becky. We've been working together a long time. But I always say, and I dealt with taxidermists before you guys, and they would dodge my phone calls. One guy held one of my mounts for over a year. I was like, hey, can you give me an update? He'd be like, oh yeah, it's at the tannery. I got that black buck, which you guys ended up mounting.
Did we?
Yes. That was the last time. I was like, no more. I'm finding someone that's reputable that, and he handed me the cape and the horns in the same frozen sack that I had handed it to him. It might've been 2 years ago before that. And finally I just said, look, dude, I don't care where it is. I just want to get it. I want to get my stuff back and take it somewhere else.
Right. Yeah.
So that was how I found you guys. And we've had a great relationship ever since. But I always say, you guys, you're honest, you answer the phone, you don't dodge people's phone calls, and you do phenomenal work. So
thank you. I really appreciate that.
What's the average turnaround time on a whitetail mount?
So we got pushed back a little bit. We're trying to stay in that. We're trying to run the 6 to 10 month mark, depending on what it is right now. All of my life sizes are longer than that. And I try to be upfront and let everyone know that, it takes me a while to do those life sizes, cats, stuff like that. So it all varies right now. We got pushed back. We definitely had to make some phone calls and let people know that, hey, we're having issues with tanning. We're having issues with forms, some supply issues. It's just been weaving in and out, trying to make sure that we're still putting out the exact same quality that we're taking in and giving people options and stuff like that. But I think we're slowly all back on track.
Well, that's like standard across, name the industry, like ever since COVID. Yeah. Well, we're still dealing with supply chain issues or, I mean, it's just the way that's the world we live in now in 2022. Everyone's playing catch up. But Henry's mount was ready. I think Josh sent me a picture of it in late September, and he shot that thing in I think we got it to you by like New Year's.
Mhm.
So that was 9 months max. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've had some go out of order. So we've got some older ones too. The tannery was just trying to push through, and then we've had some forms back ordered, and a lot of people, they have one style on the wall, and we're trying to keep with that specific style because they have one right and they're wanting one left. And so if we're going to make it cohesive and stick with what they're going, we did have to wait on some. So yeah, but
my
definitely.
style is, I say, Becky, whatever you guys think will look the best.
You do, and I love that you do that. I love the freedom. I'm not gonna lie. Every time someone comes in and gives me that little bit of freedom, it's fun. It's fun. And
like I said,
never know what I'm doing till the last second. So.
Well, that's because you guys, you're trustworthy, and everything comes back immaculate. So I appreciate you guys more than you know. And thanks for sharing a little insight with us and talking about how your season's gone. And I apologize that you'll never be able to draw those hunts again. So
yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Becky. Appreciate it. The website, of course, is gr8mounts.com, and you can find them on social media at Rustic Reminders Taxidermy. So,
and if there's any taxidermist out there right now looking for a job, we are fixing to start hiring. They can email us if they want an application, and if they think they can help us out, I would definitely be interested in talking to them or sending them an application and seeing what
awesome.
Maybe bringing another one or two to the team.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you, Becky.